Hi everyone, Kate here. Welcome back to another video. This is my third and final Peru album flip through, and this one also happens to be the shortest one. If you'd like to check out the other two, go back to my channel, watch them first, and then you'll get kind of the full story, as this is definitely the end of our trip. If not, I hope you just enjoy, seeing my album. Alright, so here in the first layout in here was actually the woolen goods that we purchased from the alpaca farm. I got an alpaca sweater, and my husband got these cute fuzzy alpaca slippers. You can see that I've got some Amy Tangerine late afternoon going on here. I also mixed that with some Bungalow Lane. I've got this stamp going on. Again, this was another Amy Tangerine, but I think all these colors work really well together and go nicely with the photos as well. Just a little bit of journaling here because I think the photos really kind of, tell the story. Alright, next, here is with Vicky Boutin Color Study. I had one photo here there of some passion fruit, some sweet passion fruit that we were given on our little bus tour. They were really quite tasty, very enjoyable, and I wanted to document that. So you see this nice big circle kind of color wheel. This is from Color Study. This little parakeet has absolutely nothing to do with the layout at all, but I thought its colors were pretty and it filled some nice space in my layout. So even though it wasn't exactly, pertinent, I'm still glad that I included it. And I also really like my little, phrases down here. So overall, I really like how the layout turned out. Now, my next layout here, I believe, was inspired by another YouTuber. Sorry, I'll try to get the glare off of that as much as I can. It is actually two pieces of paper, or perhaps it is the front and the back, I don't really remember, but cut on the diagonal, and then in order to cover up kind of the seam, I used a lot of stickers and other embellishments. So this is Sacred Valley. We were doing our driving tour, got to stop off and take some awesome pictures. Not all of this is from the same collection. Got some Paige Evans. I know that's an Amy Tangerine. That's an Echo Park, Amy Tangerine. Couldn't even tell you what some of that is. But again, it's all bright colors. And the focus here, I think, is mostly on the photos. And I've got my journaling up here. Next is Chicha Morada, and I'm certain I am mispronouncing that, and I do apologize, but it was fantastic. So one of the benefits for traveling during COVID was that crowds were like non-existent, and because of that, our trip had factored in a lot more time than we actually needed to get from one place to the other. So we were able to stop off and get some of this Chicha Morada, which this was a strawberry sweet corn juice, and it has a very, very, very low alcohol content as well. It was delicious. It was like drinking like a slightly carbonated strawberry soda. Really good. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. It was really good. And you can see this is like straight out of the scrap bin. I have these little pieces here, some of this kind of sparkle or like shine cardstock, and then one 6x8 from one of my Chamel paper pads, little journaling pads here. So a collection of embellishments and paper, but it comes together and I really like how it turns out. Now our next layout here, this is Peru Rail. Another benefit for traveling during COVID was we got upgraded to the glass ceiling train, which was really cool. Just, more windows to see out of. Now this is another one where this is not like a collection or anything. This is an Echo Park paper. Let's see, this was a 6x8. I want to say it was probably Paige Evans, but here I've got some, I think these are Paper House, more Paige Evans, Simple Stories, just a little bit of everything, but you can really bring a whole layout together even if all your supplies don't match perfectly. Sometimes you just want to use up that one big sticker. I mean, and you can make it work for sure. Maybe it's not as matchy-matchy or perfect as it might be if I did have a full collection, but I liked how I made it work. Alright, the next one, I believe there is a scrapbook layout video for this, my Glacial Dreams page. This is, again, a variety of different collections. I think we have some Amy Tan, Echo Park, Becky Higgins, maybe? More Echo Park. This is that glacier that I was talking about in my previous video. Veronica, the tallest mountain peak that we saw while we were there. More just beautiful pictures of the amazing scenery from the train we were on. So definitely had to be documented. Now here, my next page, I really like all the color that ends up on this layout. There's some awesome sparkle from some sequins. These were also just views from the train. This was a little funny. I thought, well, not funny. It's cool. It's educational. Just different from what I've seen because they were in the middle of, campaigns for a political election, and this political poster was, pro, this candidate, but it was also educational. It had alphabet on it for kids. So that was, a different kind of political advertisement than I was used to. Nice views there out of the train. So this is another one, not all the same collection, kind of thrown together, but the theme here is just color. Nice colors. Rainbow colors. And I like how that turned out. Again, using up some of my scraps, too, that I had for a while. Here is a simple layout. It does have a little bit of mixed media down the side. That's some stenciling with some Nouveau embellishment mousse through it. Then I have almost like a denim paper to kind of create like a faux mat behind these three photos that go together. This is Aguas Calientes, or the Machu Picchu city. And let me tell you, I did not expect what I saw when I got there. I mean, it's breathtakingly beautiful and just so different once again from the areas we had been in up until this point, and just amazing, really cool to see. So I wanted to keep my photos intact. I wanted them to be covered up as little as possible, because this, I mean, you need to be there to fully get the magnitude of each photo. And that's what these photos do, is kind of bring me back to that moment. And, of course, a nice little journal box. Now, I really like this next layout. This is using mostly Vicki Boutin's color study. Obviously, you can see lots of color on this layout. I even have a little double-sided tape strip here with a little bit of glitter on it. And this is Machu Pisco, which is the name of a restaurant in Aguas Calientes in the Machu Picchu city. Definitely the best pisco sour we had while we were there. So this is another one, breathtaking views, which hence the selfie. This was like a riverbed, and we were in essentially like a glass box, other than the floor, was our, private dining room. And it was absolutely amazing. And then, of course, I add my stickers here. Pencils don't make any sense with this. I know they don't. But they add to the layout, I think, just by being there. Even though it's pencils and a butterfly. Adding just a little cluster sometimes gives your layout that extra little, piece that it needs to be complete. Now, while we were there, it was my husband's birthday, so we didn't do a whole lot of big celebration, while we were there. We celebrated, just us before we went, but I had to have a little something about his birthday. So I tried to do a little mixed media. This was with watercolor around the edge, and I didn't really like the way that it turned out. So I went ahead and put another paper on top of it, using this as a nice border, so you can still tell it's kind of like birthday ice cream kind of thing. Adding my little celebrate, there's some little birthday stickers. We had a hard time finding ice cream in the Machu Picchu city, but we ended up stopping at like a little convenience store, and they had a little freezer. So we got some ice cream before turning in for the day. Now, this next layout I really like, but it is a little silly, and it's part of an inside joke with some of our friends about crispy bananas. and how Peru has really good bananas. They do have good bananas, but they are not crisp. So, is this the crispy banana? Nope. It wasn't. I took pictures of all the bananas that I ate there to try to find a banana like one my friend had eaten while he was in Peru. So this is just kind of silly, but honestly, it's those kind of things that you really want to document, right? I really like these little triangles here. They are thickers up there and at the bottom. I think that makes it cohesive. The yellow is all mixed media watercolor and distress oxide. I've got some little Pink Fresh Studio embellishment dots, and then you can see just a few extra little stickers to add that something. Now this was something I was surprised by, was natural air plants. You know, I have an air plant here in my house. It's a house plant, but in the high jungle in Peru, they have, you know, I guess wild air plants. And it was really cool to see them just like growing on the side of the tree and being, you know, huge and enormous, whereas mine's like, you know, 3 inches tall. So that was really neat to see. I stacked up some scrap papers that were, you know, plant themed. I rolled up the little edge here of my journal box, added a little bit of mixed media, and just called it, you know, done there. So just a little bit, you know, to remember something interesting that I learned while I was in Peru. Now here we go. This is the big one. We're finally in Machu Picchu. Now we got up there very, very early, and our guides did this intentionally. But when we first got there was so much fog. Like, it made me really nervous because I'm like, I can't see anything. So behind all this fog is, you know, Machu Picchu. But they assured us, you know, just wait, the fog will clear. But this is our, you know, kind of apprehensive page about staring at all the morning fog. I really like how this all turned out because it's kind of more of a gray, dreary background, but then little hints of, you know, sunshine and sparkle, which is what, you know, we were getting at the time, and ultimately to, you know, get lots of sunshine to enjoy the day and the views. Now this is a nice double page spread here. There were llamas roaming free that just live in Machu Picchu, and that's like a thing. So it was really cool to see so many of them, especially as we were waiting for the fog to clear. It was really cool because they'd just be like on the terraces, go in between the terraces, and they're very much like protected, like they live there. That is their home. I'm using Paige Evans' Bungalow Lane for a lot of this. You can see, so the background paper is not Bungalow Lane, but I've got, I believe, 3 different 6x8 pages in here with a blue background and quite a bit of the ephemera from Bungalow Lane. Just trying to make this, you know, an interesting, cohesive double layout, which I think I did pretty well. I enjoy this one, so it worked out. Now this is another double page layout, and I did something a little different. I did something a little different here that I had not done before, and I really like how it turned out. So while we were in Machu Picchu, I probably took 100 pictures, and some of them are good, some of them are not good, but ultimately I wanted to scrapbook way more than I really had space for. So here are just the views of the mountains surrounding Machu Picchu, right? So I've got some pictures here. Now this is what I did that was different. This is like a Project Lifestyle, you know, 2x3 grid, and I cut off one edge, which felt a little bit sinful when I did it, but I thought it would make this page more cohesive. Like, this is a part of the page. It's not breaking it up. But I was also then able to add 6 more photos. Now, I don't necessarily have a different story to tell for all these photos, so I wanted them to be together. And I think it worked out, and I really liked how I did this. I know this is not a revolutionary idea. Many other people have done it before, but I think in this case, it really worked out. Now, I really liked this page. Machu Picchu is the glory, is what it says. On our itinerary, our Machu Picchu day was titled Machu Picchu is the glory. So that's where that name came from. In order to get this background, I used a lot of my Heidi Swapp Color Shine to spray all the different colors. You can see I've got a lot of different colors in my title, and even added some of my Stickles glitter gel. Now, these are just a couple of pictures of us at Machu Picchu. There's not a whole lot that I had to say here, just because I've got like half of this album is Machu Picchu. So I'm getting my place to say things other places. This, I just want to get, this is us. We're in Machu Picchu. Now, again, because I took so many photos, and this was such an awesome experience, I didn't necessarily have all of the words and all of the journaling and all of the creativity to go through them. So I did like a little, project lifestyle page here. So I could get a bunch of photos in. I almost did it as though this is like a double page layout, like one side and then the other side is still part of it. And it got a lot of my photos in while, still, getting all my photos in without having to do like a bunch of pages about something I didn't really have a whole lot to say about, but it's more just like experiencing the photos. Now here I did do a layout, so we had to wear masks the entire time, and if we took off masks like for a photo or something, we often got whistled at by a park ranger. Now I am not upset about that in any way. They are just trying to keep people safe. But it was just a little interesting and kind of one of those things, like, someday that's going to be weird to us. Like, right now, that's probably not that weird, given where we are. But kind of, worth documenting, I thought. And I really liked how I did this page. It was double-sided, so I folded part of it over, and you can see, and then added just, like, a little mixed media colory part there in the back. This is all with Vicki Boutin's color study. So you can just see a whole lot of color there added together. Now, like I said, I probably took 100 or more photos while we were at Machu Picchu. And a lot of them, if I just put them on a layout, I would never know what they were exactly. So I decided to do significantly more simple layouts with a lot more individual journaling. So with every photo, I wrote just a little bit about it so I knew what it was. So if I look closely at this photo, I can see that these are actually stairs. So I wrote, these were everywhere in Peru. They are the stairs between the terraces. And they're so innovative. So I can know that, oh, this is an altar carved by the Incans. They carved and fit the rocks as they needed. Just little tidbits that I learned while I was there, but maybe looking at that photo, I might not remember. And I did also use the same stamping throughout all of these pages like this. So it's a little bit of gold behind and then a blue stamp on top. I didn't do, much embellishing. You can see I've got a little bit of, glittery outline and then just those few little stamps. But other than that, I have, photo corners and journaling. And this is all on the same kind of gray paper. A little bit of stamping, photo corners on the pages, that little glitter border, and journaling. Same thing. And it went on for a while. And again, this is a good way to get a lot of photos on that kind of document the experience. So these are all, they're pretty chronological as to, what we saw and when we saw it. So it's almost like a photo tour of, what we saw in Machu Picchu. And again, good way to get a lot of photos on. And it still, makes sense. You still have your journaling, but it's not a masterpiece every time. And that's okay with me. Some people may have different ideas. Now, I'm back to doing more embellished papers, because these are kind of different. This was not in Machu Picchu. This was next to it, like, right when you left the, Machu Picchu area. And it was a hike. It was a hike I wish we could have gone on. If it weren't for COVID, we would have been able to. Unfortunately, it was not like a loop, so you would have to cross people as you went up or back as they were going, the opposite direction. So they had closed it, to prevent the spread of germs. So that was definitely one drawback of going during COVID. We were not able to do that. But again, I think I'll take the lack of crowds over one hike. But you can see here, this is a lot of scraps all put together. Torn edges here. I even did some ribbon going through this journal box. Different lettering, take A, and then this is from a piece of paper. It says hike. And then a bunch of different embellishments. All different, not cohesive, not a collection, but it works to be put together to make one layout. Now this layout is not my favorite. I think it's mostly because I don't love this background paper, but that's okay. I really love the photo. They have this really cool sign. It says Machu Picchu, and it's all painted for the different, animals, plants, things that you might see in the high jungle region. So it was a neat picture with the two of us. Yeah, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the paper I chose back there, but I do like the pink and the inset here. I've got a few brads, added some little ephemera. I believe that is from Pink Fresh, I think. And then a few little thickers as well. So simple, easy, arguably kind of a getting lazy layout, but that's okay. Now, our next one was another really awesome place that we ate at. And this was after we had gone to Machu Picchu. This is us with some passion fruit piscos, which were really quite tasty. And then I also got a raspberry soda, which was fantastic because it wasn't like artificial. Pretty much everything in the United States, I swear, it's like, oh, that's an artificial flavor. But this was like a raspberry smoothie almost. It was like a little bit carbonated. It was fantastic. And then our silverware came in this tiny little brown bag. Adding mostly here are things from Amy Tangerine and little scraps that I had left over from her collection. But there's a few, like I added the Open Marshall washi tape, you can see, where it's like, yay, amazing, but then also Feliz and Sonrie, and Oi, so it's got some Spanish and English mixed in there. So I tried to, use that when I could, because it made sense for these layouts. Bunch of different embellishments. It does not, all need to be perfectly cohesive, at least in my opinion, to still be able to go together. Alright, so then after that, we did head back to Cuzco. Rather than have a nice, sit-down dinner somewhere, we decided we just wanted to, get some street food, go in, try out some, local snacks, which I know sounds silly because this is a bag of Cheetos, but let me tell you, it tastes way different, and even if you look at, the ingredients and the facts on the back, they're totally different. So it was cool to try those. I still have no idea what was in that bag, but it was tasty. My husband got some chicken kebabs from a street vendor. It was just a lot of fun to do this. I got some delicious, strawberry cake. It was homemade. All kinds of just, really good little snacky things. So that was our dinner one night. Now, our very last day, I'm almost, getting just as sad going through this as it's ending, as I did when we were there. But we went to the San Pedro market, which was so cool. First of all, right outside, we found a street vendor who had churros, so that was fantastic. We got a large one filled with dulce de leche, one filled with chocolate, and then mini churros as well. So you cannot beat that. We also enjoyed some fruit smoothies while we were inside the market. We got dried fruit, which was fantastic. We got our own chuta to take home, which was that delicious bread. It was just a really great experience. So this is, obviously, you can see it's really colorful. I'm using up some scraps. I think a lot of this actually came out of my scrap bin. There was a while where I was only picking out of my scrap bin, just trying to use some things up. And I think all the bright colors really come together nicely. Ah, this was awesome. So this is a double page layout, and it is of me and some alpacas and goats, and they're all babies, and some wonderful ladies who, came to Cusco to, or maybe they live in Cusco, I'm not sure, and they were, sharing those animals with us. It was just like a small tip, and then you can take your picture with these baby animals, and it was so much fun. I had to do it twice. We found these wonderful ladies who had a little baby lamb and a baby alpaca. They were so cute. The lamb weighed like nothing. The alpaca was really heavy, which was surprising. And then one other lovely woman who shared her little baby goat with me. I just got to take my picture with it and, give it back. So you can see I've got some washi tape here on either side, kind of bookending my picture area. You've seen this orange paper before, and then obviously sparkly gold was a theme with a little bit of floral. This is another one. It does not have a specific collection, but together I think it works out well, and ultimately you get to see the pictures and my journaling. Alrighty, another double page layout. We were, again, in Cusco, just kind of awaiting our departure to the airport. We were lucky enough to have an evening flight, so we got to explore. This is the Plaza de Armas, which is kind of our main square where we were hanging out, and they had some, historical monuments and buildings, so this is documenting that. Now this is Paige Evans, so I've used what was a scrap of paper, but divided it in half here, added some torn edges at the bottom with ink, covered up that seam with some double-sided tape and glitter, and then used another page here. If you look at the words, they're all travel-y, not quite all travel-y, but together, dreamer, world, amazing, beautiful. It really worked out well. Very colorful. Nice little layout. Got the job done. Alright, now one of our last things we did while walking around, we got some ice cream, and this time it was nice, scoopy ice cream. I got dulce de leche, which was fantastic, a little chocolate drizzle. My husband got strawberry. These were some cut files that I tried to back to sort of look like our ice cream. It was okay. But I think the embellishments work out as they are. Again, this is not a specific collection. I want to say that's Cartabella right there, whereas that's Simple Stories, whereas I think that's even an old Maggie Holmes. So many different things, but when you put them together, I really think it works out well, because we've got like the yellows and the oranges. That's even what you see here in the layout, in the photo. So I think it works. And again, it's really about the photo and the journaling for me. Now, of course, this is kind of, a historical documentation page, I guess. We had to get COVID tested before we returned to the United States. So they had some nurses come to our hotel so that we could, get tested before we left. Obviously, it wasn't a super pleasant experience, as I'm sure everyone out there knows, but necessary. Definitely something I would, do again if it meant I got to go to Peru. So I'm using a very bright and colorful background page here. It doesn't necessarily coordinate with like travel or anything, but that doesn't stop me. Then I've got a nice, solid here with another different print, and then just a few scraps and stitching with a few small embellishments just to kind of finish it off there. Now, our very, very last page of the entire Peru album is, once again, pizza. I think this is my fourth layout about pizza. But it was good, let me tell you. If you go to Peru, you gotta get the pizza. So, right before we went to the airport, we decided to have an early dinner because we knew it was gonna be a while, right, before we got food again. So we went to a little place in Cusco. You can see Casa Grande. there and had some really quite delicious pizza before we headed to the airport and headed home. You can see here, this is a page that's done with a lot of Echo Park game night embellishments, and also the Simple Stories Bro & Co. So obviously using the wrong collections to make a simple layout. This was, a piece from the restaurant, actually. My photo, my journaling down here. So that is going to finish off my Peru albums. Thank you so much for joining me through all the layout videos and now the album walkthroughs. If you have any questions, comments, anything, please drop them below, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.